This episode is made possible by NetSuite by Oracle and Brex, the AI-powered spend platform.
Hi, this is Jeff Noto, the CFO of Zayo, and you're listening to the CFO Thought Leader Podcast.
This is episode 974.
So, in the beginning, you're just laying the foundation. You're laying all the groundwork, right? You're connecting systems, you're implementing technology, you're fixing process, and to do that too, you've got to be focused on data, right? So the old saying is cash is king, but I believe that data is queen. And without good data, a company can never truly realize its full potential. And it's my job to use data to tell a story and customize it to the audience that I'm speaking to. And that's what I've been very good at being able to do over the years.
Hi, it's Jack. On today's show, we speak with Jenny, CFO of SOCi. It's the type of story that we can't resist repeating, and one that without question underscores Jenny's entrepreneurial spirit. Still, the entertainment value of his tale of zapping wasp nests with a homemade rubber band gun for $1 a pop was at risk of eclipsing the more traditional milestones that populate Jenny's career path, otherwise defined by strategic decision-making and an innate ability to identify and capitalize on opportunities. Asked about his finance mindset, Jenny recounts his commitment to curiosity and an unwavering quest for greater efficiency. However, we'd argue that it's Jenny's entrepreneurial bent that most resonates with us, forever accented by those wasp nests. Our episode featuring CFO Jenny begins after this. $37,025.1. These are the three numbers to remember to get the visibility and control you need to make the right business decisions instantly. 37,000. That's the number of businesses which have upgraded to NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system, streamlining accounting, financial management, inventory, HR, and more. 25. NetSuite turns 25 this year. That's 25 years of helping businesses do more with less, close their books in days, not weeks, and drive down expenses. 1. Because your business is one of a kind, you should get a customized solution for all of your KPIs in one efficient system and with one source of truth. Manage risk, get reliable forecasts, and improve margins. Everything you need, all in one place. Right now, download NetSuite's popular KPI checklist designed to give you consistently excellent performance, absolutely free, at netsuite.com/KPI. That's netsuite.com/KPI. Hello, we're speaking with Jenny, CFO of SOCi. Eric, welcome.
Jack, nice to meet you. Thanks for having me on.
So, Eric, as you might be aware, we always begin by inviting our guests to look back for us. And what we're looking for are those experiences you feel prepared you to become a finance leader. What would those be for you?
Yeah, it actually probably goes back to my childhood days, believe it or not. I had a very entrepreneurial mindset back when I was about 8 or 9 years old. We had a pool growing up, right? And we had wasp nests because they build their nests off of water, and I would have to go knock those down. And obviously it's pretty dangerous to do. And then I thought hey, I feel like other people probably have the same problem and don't want to be stung by these wasps. So I had this rubber band gun that I made. Don't remember how exactly, but it was very easy. It just shot the rubber band with a click of a button. And I went around door to door asking people if I could take care of your wasp nest. And they're looking at me like, are you serious? Like, you're a kid. Like, this is pretty dangerous. And I was like, it's only $1 a nest. And I went and did this and started collecting all these nests, and I would shoot one down, run away, come back to it, pick it up, bag them up, go to their door later and say, hey, you owe me $6, right? And I came home, I threw all these in the trash, right? I had a bunch of them. My mom sees it. It was like, what are you doing? Like, where did these come from? This is very dangerous. And then I thought to myself, well, I should probably charge more money than $1, right? This is pretty dangerous. So I started charging $5 a nest, and looking at the profit margin. And this is true story. I was making money as a child, and I sold potpourri, lemonade stands together because multiple products. Like people might want this versus that. So that's really like I've always been like thinking like that in my career.
That is wild. You said you would pick up the nests. What are you using? Tongs?
No, just my hands. So once I shot it down, right, I would go and stomp out the ones that were there, run away for a bit, come back in a few minutes, and then bag the nest just like bare hands. Not very smart at the time, I would say.
All right, but definitely entrepreneurial, and then and again, your price supply and demand was kicking in already.
It was. So right, you fast forward there. Junior year, I'm going to San Diego State University. Go Aztecs! I did go to the Final Four game and the championship over in Houston. So definitely representing my college there. So I'm majoring in accounting. Junior year. And just so you know, that school really caters to the business program and really towards the accounting program. They practically walk you into the firms and interviews your junior year, right? I had no idea choosing that major. That's what happened. It was just like, all right, here's the next thing in the process. You're going to walk here. And I'm just going through the motions, right? So I actually ended up signing an offer my junior year and committing to a firm. I had offers from the Big Four. I decided to go mid-tier. It was the 5th largest firm at the time, still is today. It's called RSM, formerly McGladrey in Poland, and then McGladrey. So that's kind of how I got into public accounting, right? And the reason why I did that is I wanted to be exposed to as much of the business as quickly as possible and work on a business in the complex sections of a company and learn as much as I could as fast as I could versus getting stuck in one area on a big customer for 2 years. And that's the stories that I was hearing as I was talking to folks about going this direction versus that direction, is the exposure and how quick it would be.
So that's San Diego, but what geographies does your career span really?
I'm based in Austin right now, but I lived in San Diego for a good part of my life. I also worked in Palo Alto and Redwood for a bit too when I left public to go into tech. So there's probably like all three is what you're probably seeing.
But you leave public accounting to enter tech, and you move at that point to the Bay Area, or did it happen sooner?
Yeah, no, I was still in San Diego at the time when I got into tech, but the company was headquartered in Palo Alto, so I was visiting the office, frequently. But we opened up a satellite office as well in San Diego.
I know you made note of certain experiences you wanted to share, and I really appreciate that. So I'm gonna stop interrupting you and ask you, please do. What's your next experience you'd like to tell us about?
Yeah, well, I think the story, right, too, is like, so day one of in public accounting, right? I get pulled into the new hire onboarding room, right? One of the senior managers, he looks at all of us, looks around the room, and he goes, you guys are you are all -1s. And he's like, you add no value to the firm right now. You need to work to become a 0 and eventually a 1 as quickly as possible. He's a good friend of mine to this day, but that really stuck with me, right? Like when you're new, when you're first starting in your career, you're not expected to know anything, right? Your degree gets you an opportunity to go work, but in corporate, it's much different, right? So be a sponge, ask questions, learn, grow, and do it quickly, right? There's no bad question your first year. And that was also reiterated, right? That undying need to ask why and challenge things and don't just do the status quo, right? So it was a great time for me is where I'm just grinding. I have no distractions, no kids, no wife. I'm using my time extremely wisely, right? Because time is finite. You only have 24 hours in a day. So I was just focusing on work, growing, learning, and being curious, right? Why things work a certain way.
Now, I don't want to jump ahead too quickly, but I'm wondering what door you ultimately enter industry through, and what exactly are you experiencing when you move? Is it just in the back of your mind? It's time to move on here.
No, no, not exactly, right? I knew that I didn't want to stay on the partner track, right? And stay in public accounting forever. And so, actually, a former colleague of mine was working at the startup company, and he was going on to start his own company, and was like, "Hey, you'd be great for this. You know, they're a young company. They're working on their Series A. I know it's something that you can do, would want to do, be interested in. He brought me, that opportunity to come in and kind of lead the charge there. So through a relationship, I didn't care which company I was going to necessarily, but I wanted, take that risk, take that chance, that opportunity, and definitely focus on B2B. Software was a key component I wanted to focus on.
Are you thinking you want to be in that sort of mid-market environment? Are you where are your aspirations beginning to point you?
Well, I mean, I think everyone wants to continue to advance in their career, right? So, and as the controller there, because there wasn't anyone above at the time, I was handling the financings and cradle to grave, the finance operations, the accounting, pretty much everything, right? And having to leverage tech to be extremely scrappy, right? Because you have very limited resources at a startup company, right? So how do you do the job of 10 with three, right? So that's really like how I got used to that, of doing that role, and seeing a lot, being exposed to a lot, and jumping into things like immediately, right? So it was day one, right? I start at that company. My phone rings. I pick it up, and it's an investor wanting to invest in a Series A round. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, I don't know anything about what's happening. I've audited, I've seen how rounds are how done, but I've never been on that side of it. So I'm like, oh my God, this is a very uncomfortable moment. And you have to adapt and just sort of take that all in and just try to roll with that. And that's really like how you understand that I like to be uncomfortable, right? Like I like to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations, and I can thrive in that environment, right? So it was a very interesting time when I first joined.
What happens next? I mean, do you go and tell the CEO or the board, or hey, I had this phone call. We weren't necessarily thinking we'd take funding at this place in time, but
Yeah, well, I went right to the CEO and was like, "Hey, I just spoke to so and so. Like, I guess we're raising this round." And he was like, "Yeah, we are." Okay, so I mean, it was like walking in. I just sit there and this thing rings, right? I mean, it was. I didn't want to not take the call, right? So he was like, "Absolutely, we're in the middle of it, and we worked through it together, closed it, and
now is it the same firm that you go on to become a CFO for the first time?
yes, that's that one, same one."
So it happens pretty quickly for you, and I guess it's the environment like you just described. You got at the center of things very quickly, even when you were not expecting it necessarily.
Yeah, right. It's when a small startup company that's young in their journey, it's definitely probably helps the situation as well, from being honest. But also, there's no one above me at the time, and I'm handling a lot of the duties of what it entails. At the time, I didn't know, right? Because at the time, you're still figuring it out. You're still growing as a person, right? So like once you start doing the role, you're like, well, it's an easy transition into it because you're kind of doing it before you have it, right?
So what happens next? I mean, is that firm acquired? Do you see another CFO opportunity in your future? What happens?
Yeah, so I got recruited out of that company to join another company called iSheriff. It's a cybersecurity company. We did data endpoint protection, email security, and web security. To be a CFO at that company as well. And at the time when I was pitched the opportunity, it was like, we're either going to go out and raise a round, or we're going to sell the business, and we're going to dual track it, hire bankers. And I'm like, this is a great opportunity. I want to take it. So I left and took that role. We started growing the business, had some record breaking quarters, went out, did a process. It was a dual track. We had some attractive offers to sell the business. And we ultimately did. And we sold to a company called Mimecast. They were a public company. They did email security. You probably might even use them. And then later they got bought by Primera like a couple years ago.
Along the way, you're also an investor in different companies. What, tell us about your investing chapter.
Yeah. Run a small venture fund and invest in deals that I find interesting, technology, healthcare, biotech, along the way.
So I'd like to know something about, so tell us something about your mindset here. We always hear about the investor mindset or maybe even the operator's mindset. Is yours split?
Yeah, no, I enjoy it, right? I like to be on both sides of it. I like operating, I would say, being in a company, being an operator, but of course, like on the other side of the table is nice as well. Let someone else do the operating, throw some dollars into it. So just a way to, just further diversify and have things working in different areas. But I'm an operator through and through.
Well, we might have a few more career-related questions for you a little later, but right now let's find out about SOCi. Tell us about this company. What does it do, and what are its offerings today?
Right. So SOCi, it's the leading co-marketing cloud for multi-location enterprises. Right. We empower businesses like Ace Hardware, Sports Clips, Jersey Mike's, Ford to automate and scale their marketing efforts efficiently across all their locations and digital channels. Right. And we're leveraging generative AI and ML and offer actionable insights, recommendations, allowing business to make data-driven decisions.
Now, could you give us perhaps a sort of an abbreviated history of SOCi's capital structure?
Yeah, we raised over $230 million to date. So a series of rounds to get there. I came in around 2017, so almost 7 years now. It's VC backed and PE backed with a private equity group, JMI. They invest in high growth technology enterprise companies.
And the workforce is how large today, roughly?
Yeah, about 700 employees, a little over 900 customers, and six-time fastest growing private company in America by Inc. 5000. So we've been seeing tremendous growth, as you can probably imagine. Along the way, picked up a couple awards myself as well, obviously thanks to the employees, customers, and all of our shareholders, but two-time winner, CFO of the year.
Is that a regional award, or what was that?
Yeah, one was from the San Diego Business Journal and then the Austin Business Journal out here.
Huh. Again, you arrived there, you've been there going close to 7 years now. But you step into the CFO role in 2016, is that right? And
yeah, I joined in 17.
Yeah, just curious, the company you joined versus the company today, what is it experienced? And again, we know COVID is right smack in the middle of your tenure there. But can you tell us about, turn back the clock at first for us and let us know about the company you joined and give us a sense of how it's maybe changed or grew, of course.
So it's 7, but it feels like 15, Jack. They had just closed their Series A before I joined. Small company, maybe 40 people at the time. A small shop. So when you come into that environment, there's not a lot of infrastructure or things set up. Of course, right? People are going to say the systems and the process and this, but it's true everywhere you go, right? But for me, I saw that as an opportunity, right? It's like, if you can come in and I can show the CEO or the board, like, how are you guys actually driving this revenue, right? Where is it coming from? Which program? How? What's working? What's not? Do that through data, automate it, become truly data driven as an organization. Like, would that be interesting to you, right? So, in the beginning, you're just laying the foundation, you're laying all the groundwork, right? You're connecting systems, you're implementing technology, you're fixing process, and to do that too, you've got to be focused on data, right? So the old saying is cash is king, but I believe that data is queen. And without good data, a company can never truly realize its full potential. And it's my job to use data to tell a story and customize it to the audience that I'm speaking to. And that's what I've been very good at being able to do over the years.
So you'd be studying the unit economics of a SaaS offering. That's what this is. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a B2B enterprise software. We sell to the enterprise, the corporate locations, but we help and deliver our solution at the local level as well, which is very difficult to do, Jack. If you know, usually you sell corporate, you sell enterprise, or you sell SMB, right? We sell to the corporate enterprise, but we have to serve, at the local level, like the franchisee level or the location level. And some of our customers will want to control it all. They want to control their social media, the branding, responding to the reviews, their listings, their ad strategy, everything they want to control. And that's fine. It's centralized. And others will say, hey, we're okay with a decentralized model, and we'll allow the franchisees to do certain actions or post on-brand content at the local level, or respond to reviews, or what action they want to take. So it's a pretty robust platform, and the key is that we built the platform at the time, the CEO and CTO, for multi-location, right? It's not a point solution, right? So a lot of our competitors, they just have a point solution for reputation management or listings management or social. It was always a platform play at the time to keep it all in one cohesive platform, really. So the data is talking to each other, and you don't have fragmented systems everywhere. So that was one of the key components of our scale as well.
Being a data-driven organization, you get to see something quicker, sooner. What numbers are you looking at? What's the metric that you get to see today that you couldn't see back in 2017? What's available to you now that you have all this data?
I mean, everything, right? You can use it in every department, right? Sales efficiency metrics, right? Sales attainment, gross margin adjusted CAC ratio, rule of 40 on our side, margins, retention rates. I mean, the list goes on what you can do with data, and if you segment it and slice it in a number of different ways, you can actually drill down to the actual segment. It could be dragging down your business or improving your business, right? So we don't just look at like retention rates by customer. That's nothing, right? How do you look at that by size of customer, by industry, by which products they have, by number of locations, and really start to figure out, like, is there a certain, segment that we can perform really well in versus others? And then why, right? Because I mean, the key is, like, you want to take data, but you want to do something with the data. A lot of people, look at so much data. It's called data obesity. They don't know what to do with it, right? You got to actually drive decisions from what you're seeing and what you're looking at. When I can point to trends and show repeatedly, this is what's happening, we should do more of this, less of this, obviously get buy-in from everyone and show it to everyone and get the other stakeholders on my same page, obviously. It can make the business, change very quickly and grow at a very high pace, right? Like, we're not doing the same things, over and over and expecting different results. That's the definition of insanity. But Albert Einstein said it perfectly, right? Like, we're constantly breaking down the company, rebuilding it. And that's how we've been able to scale so quickly.
Now, as you sought to achieve that type of visibility with those different numbers or metrics you were mentioning, measurements, your FP&A people, are they, where have they been deployed? What is the nature of what they work on, given all this data that's available to them? Are they involved in that? Are they involved in creating these metrics that to share with other parts of the organization?
Yeah, right. It's about being viewed as a partner, right? Finance as a business partner. And if you flip it, we have customers. Sales is a customer. CS is a customer. R&D is a customer. HR is a customer, right? Marketing is a customer. And how do we partner and support them with the data that we're capturing and tracking and measuring. And obviously they have, information they're tracking as well and we're measuring. But if there's things that we also have, because we can see the full picture, right? We see from beginning to end how everything works. And that's really key in growth in any individual that wants to make it to this level is don't just do, finance and accounting. Like you got to really take a step back and understand how the whole business works. And we have that ability to see the business across every department. And if you're curious about that, you can see how everything works and ticks. So we're viewed as a business partner. So we're providing data on a regular cadence to individuals across the organization, so then they can have that and then make decisions as well.
Well, let me ask you a question. I kind of like to tee it up this way. Your FP&A folks are down the hall in a conference room, and Eric swings open the door. What do they think Eric's going to ask them for?
Right now, they would slam the door in my face at this time of year in January. Yeah. I'm going to ask for more. It's another way of looking at something, another view, something that and really what I'm trying to instill in them is to be ahead of what I'm going to ask. Start to you guys challenge yourselves and ask yourselves, why, or is there a better way to do this, or what if we looked at it this way? So I'm not the one having to come in and say, can I get this sliced this way, right? So it's that changing that mental mindset and being curious, which I've obviously instilled in my team since I've had that in my career as well, as possessing intellectual curiosity, right? Asking why, pushing the boundaries, so that my team now is also now feeding us information before I ask for it. And there's a mix as that as well. I'm also asking for new things constantly all the time, but it's a good relationship that we have right now.
Regarding Chat GPT, are your FP&A people experimenting? Are they finding it useful in certain ways? What would you share with us?
AI, right? It's, external or internal. Like, how are we using it for, our customers, our platform, or internal? Like, how is the FP&A organization using it, or how can we use it across the company, right? We're all exploring it across the board as a company, and we have various use cases on how we're doing that. And the thing is, right now, there's a ton of ways you can do it with, like, data analysis, or write me this job description, or I want to look up an accounting pronouncement here, or risk management. But really, like, I'm not trying to force AI as the predetermined solution, right? I'm trying to identify use cases for where it could work, and then see if we can automate that process or get better data or insight. Because if you're forcing just, this is the only way we can do it, and you're not just looking at, like, the why behind it, you can lead yourself down a path of, like, you're just trying to implement more technology for something that might not be the solution, right? It's definitely changing, how fast the advancements are coming in the last 5 years, in 2023 especially, and how Chat GPT is available to the public in end of 22. So I mean, it's the advancements and machine learning and all the language models. It's incredible, right? So I tell my team, like, we're not going to ever fall behind here. So we need to constantly be looking at what's coming out. And of course, looking at our own technology, because we have best of breed technology that we're using. So it's like that's in class, and they're probably doing things themselves. So it's always just making sure we're staying up to date on the latest functionality and features that are being offered. And then also look for various use cases. And we have a few that we've identified that are working.
Well, thank you for that. We are almost up to our finance strategic moment question, but first I wanted to take one more crack at asking you about metrics and see if there's a metric that you might be paying greater attention to, or maybe it's where there's a particular measure that you've brought to the attention of the organization better, or raised the profile of across the organization or to a certain group. What comes to mind? Is there a metric that you've helped bring into greater focus?
Yeah. That's a great question, because it's like it's not like we haven't been tracking, a lot of these operational efficiency metrics because the world shifted. It's no longer grow at all costs. Like, how do we grow efficiently? Our investors will say grow fast and be efficient, right? But so really, it's nothing new per se. But to your point, like, are we looking at it more closely and maybe educating others on the importance of it? Absolutely. One that definitely comes to mind is just customer profitability around gross margins, right? A sales rep comes in, Eric, I got a $500,000 deal. They're ready to sign. It's a good deal. Look at what I'm selling them. And it's like, it looks great if you don't know anything else. You're like, $500,000, I want to take that deal. But when you start to unpeel it, like, is it even profitable, right, for us on the deal? So when you start to educate them on why that's important, because as a SaaS business, you have high margins, reoccurring revenue, predictable, so you can scale, and really your retention rates, your gross and net retention. Are you retaining your customers, and are you doing efficiently, right? So if we're filling everything in with bad deals, then it's actually bad revenue, right? It's kind of counterintuitive, but there is such thing as bad revenue, especially in a SaaS business, because churn is the ultimate SaaS killer. So educating there is definitely been a focus, as well as on the business, and then just sales efficiency metrics as well, on like why we are pushing back in certain areas that we want to push back on, and just more education on that versus just like, no.
Some nice detail there for us. Thank you. We're going to jump to our finance strategic moment question, where we're just looking for one moment of insight that you've experienced along the way in your career. We know you have quite a few to choose from, but we're just looking for one. If you wouldn't mind, what comes to mind when we ask for a finance strategic moment?
It's at SOCi. One of the key things I did again when I came in is how to get this company truly data driven, start tracking the right metrics at the right cadence, get data faster in the hands so we can make data driven decisions. And by the way, it does help when you have a CEO that's also a data junkie and loves it like me, and that's how we connected early on as well. But it's worth noting, when I joined in 17, we were at the time we were building an inside sales team, right? So we had an outside sales team. They're out reaching out to bigger customers and trying to close the business. At the time, we were building an inside sales motion. They call in, get on the phone, and try to close smaller deal customers a lot faster, right? So that motion was going. We were seeing revenue come in. It was making up about 20-25% of the business. Fast forward, it's 2018 or so, and we're starting to get really granular with dissecting the data, looking at every customer since inception and slicing it by, like I mentioned maybe earlier, by size, by vertical, by number of locations, by average price per location, by products, just every which way we can analyze this data and look at the trends over time. And in fact, what you're probably going to know what we saw is that the mid-market team, these lower value deals were churning out at a very, very high clip, to where it was not good revenue for us, right? And we couldn't retain these customers. And the enterprise was doing the exact opposite, right? It was, the highest retention rates. They were staying, they were paying, they were happy. And what you have to think about is that, why? We solve a complex problem, a complex workflow solution at scale. If I'm a small mom and pop shop with a location down the street, our software is not going to work well for you, because you could just do it yourself, right? Or 10 locations or 50 locations. I can log in, respond to reviews, update my listings, run an ad strategy. I can stay up to date on that number of locations. But then take an Ace Hardware that has almost 6,000 locations with 150,000 digital assets on the internet. And how are you responding to reviews across 6,000 locations on Google, on Facebook, on Yelp? Your data is everywhere. Your listings are everywhere. Your addresses are everywhere, right? And during COVID, it's like you're open, you're closed, you're open, you're closed. Like, how could you do that, right? You can't. That's where SOCi comes in. So this was a business that was not working for us. So I presented the data, a few times, right? Because I think it's a big decision, right? So we're looking at it. We're looking at the trends. I'm showing the CEO. I'm showing the rest of the teams. And like really what it was saying is deprecate the entire mid-market team and go more towards the enterprise. And we use this data to make that very difficult decision, and shift our go-to-market strategy. Right? We set deal minimums. We segmented all of our prospects in our database. We cleared our customers. We gave the list to our enterprise folks. We hired more folks. Identified what our true ICP was, the ideal customer profile, and it really helped shape our go-to-market strategy. Right? Very hard decision, very difficult. We basically pause, restart, double down. What we did was we followed the data, right? And then, from that moment, like I said, 6-time, 5,000 fastest growing company in America. The funding rounds that we've had and the growth that we've experienced is nothing short of pretty fantastic. The employees here in the company to make that shift and that pivot and actually follow the data, right? A lot of people, you look at it and they're like, no, I don't think that's the right decision. This is just taking all that emotion out of it and being like, this is where we need to go. So it was a pause to go forward. And it was one of the best decisions we ever made.
CFOs and controllers, does expense management feel like a necessary evil? It's time to switch to Brex. Brex automates and accelerates spend management with easy-to-use corporate cards, travel, expense management, and bill pay, all on one AI-powered platform. Brex makes it easy to boost efficiency and compliance enterprise-wide and free up your managers, employees, and accounting team for higher impact work. Top companies from startups to enterprises are using Brex to automate manual work and transform their finance operations. We're talking DoorDash, Robinhood, Airtable, and countless other industry leaders. Ready to join them? Switch to AI-powered spend management at Brex.com.
Nice overview for us there. Thank you for that. We're going to jump to what we refer to as our mentoring round, where we're going to ask you to look back again. We want you to think about the first time you stepped into a CFO role and think about that first 30 to 60 days. And if you could go back in time and just tell yourself one thing, what do you know now so well that you didn't know then about the role? What would you tell that person?
It would be hard to say one thing to that me or a future CFO. So I'll say a couple quickly, if that's okay. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Be curious. Stop being comfortable. Take risks. Data is queen. Use the data, right? And your environment creates your reality, right? If you surround yourself with people that are talking in the past, living in the past, you'll be living in the past, right? Be thoughtful of who you're surrounding yourself with, who you let in your circle, and surround yourself around people that are going to encourage you to think big, and your entire life can change, right? And that's true. It's like your network, right? And no one ever knows when you're growing up, what does that mean? Lead with yes, right? We can do that. However, let me explain the risks of that, which ultimately might lead to a no, right? We don't just want to shut things down. You got to keep your eyes up, be listening, be forward looking. And this is a really important one to me, is the word yet can change your life, right? Hear me out. I'm not good enough becomes I'm not good enough yet. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that yet. So if you think, apply this in business as well, is like, I don't know if we can grow 200% revenue and be profitable and do this. We can't do that yet. It will change the way you start to have an outlook on life. And I think it's pretty impactful. And just embrace the comfort of being uncomfortable. I can't stress that enough.
Excellent. Thank you for those. We always like to ask our guests to reflect a little on the personal side for us. We're wondering, is there something people just don't know about you, something in general that your colleagues might not even know?
We are a fully remote company right now. So there's probably a lot that they don't know about me. But I would say That's funny, right? I've been skydiving over the Swiss Alps. I don't know many people that would know that. And my favorite show to binge watch on Bravo, believe it or not, is Below Deck.
Oh, wild. It's a reality series.
Yeah, it's a kind of reality show where people go on mega yachts, right, in various destinations, and it's filmed with the clients are on the boat, obviously, and then the people below deck, right. So you've got like the deckhands and the stewardess and the the captain, running the operations and kind of seeing a look on what they actually do to cater to these clients and the work that goes on in the background. It is incredible.
Oh, that's wild. It sounds like fun. As reality TV goes, we've had one of the Housewives series recommended to us before as a guilty pleasure, but one that's certainly entertaining. What about a book pick for us?
Start with Why by Simon Sinek is a good one, and The Hard Thing About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz.
Haven't read Start with Why. What is the notion or the idea behind Start with Why?
Yes, it emphasizes the importance of understanding, communicating the purpose or why behind actions, especially in business and leadership, but also personally. And a perfect example is you think of Apple, right? Like Apple didn't start with what they were or how they did it. They started with why. The earliest time, early 2000s, the campaign they put out was around Think Different, right? And just the power of that message and building your brand and coming at it a different way. There's a lot of emotion and studies and tied to this, right? And I think just effective leaders understand their why. They can use it to inspire others and share that same vision.
Okay, well, we're up to our final question where we're going to ask you to look forward finally for us. And we're wondering what your priorities are for the next 12 months as a CFO. What would those be?
So look, we're always constantly maturing as an organization. I like to just call it like we're constantly tightening the bolts, right? Systems, process, accurate data, faster, more visibility, right? So big focus on operational efficiency metric, but still growing at a healthy clip. I think a really important one is just hiring and retaining good talent. It's all about the people at the end of this. And the book I mentioned, The Hard Thing About Hard Things, like goes into that. It's all about the company culture. It's all about the people. Spend wisely, right? Look for an ROI on any investment made. Now it's like, you want to spend that. What's the return? You're always thinking that way, but I think it's really just been a lot more heightened recently. Focusing the team on a financial transformation. So the data strategy, my people, our systems, our process, and just continue to elevate there and leverage technology, reducing costs. And again, the AI ones, right? Identify use cases for AI within the finance org, but not force fit AI as the solution, right? And I want to, focus there and continue just to grow and continue to have finance be that partner to the business and just make that partnership really strong. And the thing is like, the role of the CFO has become one of the most complex and demanding roles, especially in the last couple of decades. However, as you know, like I embrace comfort and being uncomfortable, so I'm ready for any challenge thrown my way.
Eric, Jenny, thank you for joining us on CFO Thought Leader.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you for having me. Had a great time.
Hello, Thought Leader listeners. We hope 2024 is treating you well. If you haven't already, we hope you'll pay a visit to CFOthoughtleader.com and go ahead and subscribe to our Mentoring Round newsletter, where we highlight the career lessons and moments of strategic insight shared by our recent CFO guests. Also, LinkedIn users, please go ahead and follow our CFO Thought Leader company page, and you'll be certain not to miss a single Thought Leader video debut. CFO Thought Leader, the #1 thought leadership platform exclusively for and by CFOs. As always, thank you for listening.